Hello, friends. Welcome to enLIGHTen, where we talk about creative consecration through Christ. My name's Eva Timothy. I'm so happy to be here with you today on this beautiful, beautiful Wednesday, part of Holy Week. And it literally is amazing. So much anticipation this whole week, right? It's just amazing to me because it's like my favorite holiday. I love Easter. It's like all-time favorite. And as President Hinckley would say, right, if there wasn't Easter, it wouldn't have been Christmas. So I love it so very much. And it's exciting, and we have conference, we have double joys there at the same time. So I mean, I am so excited. My heart is just so full of joy. And I am going to grab my friend because we don't want to waste a minute, you guys. Here today. Welcome to everyone. And you're gonna love my friend today. And there we go. Hi.
Hi. Good
Hi, David. Oh my
to
gosh,
see
so
you.
good to see you. Oh, I can't wait. I have been so giddy that you're coming on, and just in fact, your Palm speech talk that you gave, that Palm Sunday,
Oh
I
yeah,
love it.
yeah.
Please send me the whole thing again because I want to listen to it. And I had friends DM me, it's like, I want the whole thing.
Who
So I,
yeah, so I don't know why the link went down. Like it used to be on like the Tabernacle's website or something, and it's a broken link or something.
oh,
So yeah, but I had a friend who was like, I'm speaking tomorrow in Palm Sunday. Do you have that somewhere?
I
And
know, I
I was
know.
like, I don't think so. And so I went back to look at our pictures, of it,
Yeah.
because I like we had such fun pictures. I actually bought this big palm tree before we went, and I cut the branches off to give to my kids. So everybody had this. They handed out these little palms, and my kids had
Really?
these like gigantic ones. So I was trying to find those pictures because I thought they were so fun. And then I found that either me or someone had like screen recorded it, like the whole thing. So I have it. I just have
Okay,
to I have to upload it somewhere, and so that
upload
there could
it.
be a link.
Yes,
So,
make it, make it. It was one of the best talks I've ever heard. Like, honestly, I
oh,
had
that's sweet.
goosebumps and just the whole spirit. It was incredible. So
The whole
please,
event was so good. It just was,
yes.
yeah, I think you're remembering the feeling of the whole thing because it really was just that collection of people all together. I think Palm Sunday has to be celebrated in a group.
Yes.
That's the right way. That's the
Amen.
right way to do it. Easter also, but like, there's Mary at the tomb on Easter. There's something individual about, being like an individual kind of worship moment on Easter morning, I feel like. And then family, obviously, a group together. But
Yes.
Palm Sunday, that's designed for a group, I decided, you
No, I
know?
love it. It's the best. It's so awesome. I please introduce yourself. I'm sure most people know you on here, but it'd be so fun just to people to know what you're doing right now, what's going on. And yeah, because you're so wonderful and
Oh,
awesome. So
that's nice. I'm David Butler, and I have a darling wife, Jenny, and we are raising six kids together. One of them is on a mission in Bolivia. Another one is about to go on a mission to Dallas, Texas, and so that is just first and foremost and top of the list, like what we're doing. We're in the thick of raising these kids, and it is so awesome. I keep thinking to myself how that I'm like, I love this stage of life. No, I love this stage of life. No, I love this stage of life. And so we're just the luckiest ducks in the world. My favorite thing I do is I love experiences and I love teaching. So I just got back from a tour to India, took a group of people there to study world religions. It was a holy envy tour. and I love taking people places and teaching on site. It's probably a small part of like my time, but like a big part of my joy. So
And you have
I
a
love.
class too. You have a digital class too that people can take to
Yeah,
if they want
right,
to.
right.
Yes.
But the digital class is fantastic. It's funner to go to India and learn it there. So it's so that I just, my time in all different ways is spent just writing and teaching and creating experiences for people to increase their faith. That's where I am most
I
of the
love
time.
that. That is so
Yeah.
awesome. And I know your daughter just got her mission call, and so did mine. So they're both going stateside. I think we must
Oh,
have both been praying about that.
hallelujah. I have my prayer wall right here. That's my
I,
prayer wall.
oh, I
And
love it. Oh my gosh, I
that was
love that.
that was
I
that
know.
was that was on my prayer wall. I was like, oh my gosh, we had a son serve as a missionary in Africa, in Mozambique, and then this other son in Bolivia. And I actually am fine to send my boys to those places. I'm just like,
Mhm.
but Jane,
I know.
not because I'm protective, not because Jane is weak, but because she's precious to me, and
Yes.
I have a little bit more fatherly, I think, and you have a little bit more motherly, like, hold on, I
Totally.
need
Yeah,
you.
she's going to Minnesota, Minneapolis. That's where she's heading.
Oh,
So
that's so
it's
great.
it's exciting. But anyway, I just bought her your darling like marvelous work, your missionary
Oh, yeah.
prep book, which I love, Good News brand, and then I bought the Holiness to the Lord. Both amazing for anyone
Oh,
that has kids
awesome.
going on missions or yeah, Good News brand co. You guys, just incredible. I love all you do.
Thank
So
you.
this is so fun. Like seriously, I was just like I could not like think of a better person right now than you to talk about
Oh,
Easter. So
that's the highest compliment anyone's ever given me.
where do you want to go? Like, what should we do? We haven't really talked anything prior to our gathering today, so the spirit will lead us.
Yeah, which is just fantastic. I mean, I was saying amen before you joined me on there, just about Easter, just the feeling of Easter. I genuinely, I'm with you, and I just love it. There is something about it that is, it's such it's a renewal. It feels like spring, and it feels like light, and it feels like hope. Yours, like, how do you describe hope? And it's like, oh, it's this right here. And I think that's probably my favorite word associated with Easter is it's hope, because you know th- on am I back? I think
Yes, you're good.
I
You're good. You're good.
my timer on Instagram that says you're spending too much time on Instagram popped up.
Not right now, Instagram.
Yeah,
We're talking about
yeah,
Jesus now.
exactly. So so there is this phrase in um that you hear floated around Christian circles and sermons, and it's that we live in the already but not yet, is the phrase. The already but not yet. And what that means is death has already been defeated, and the victory has already been won, and the promises are already secure. You can anchor your hope to those. They are certain. And the proof of that is the empty tomb. If Jesus rose from the grave, it means that all of those promises, everything he spoke, is secure. It is finished. Were the words on the cross, his final, final words on the cross. And so that's a reality. We don't believe in a fairy tale, you know. Um, we believe in a story that is rooted in history. There's a moment in time that we can point to, not a myth, not but a moment on the
Mhm.
timeline of this world that happened in this world that we point to and say, where someone says, where do you get your hope from? How can you believe that? And I said, I have, there's this moment in time that it's the resurrection of Jesus. Um, and so that's the already. There is an already, and then there's the not yet, which is people still get diagnosed with cancer, and children still die before they should, and people still battle um, crippling levels of depression and anxiety, and there's still reason to worry, and there's still war on the news, and there's still homelessness and poverty, and so it's this strange place to be in, the already, where we say the victory's already been won. And then I look around the world and I say, but it still looks like winter to me. It's still, there's still snow on the ground. The trees are still bare. I don't see, I don't see spring right now. And that's the place that we live. And I think Easter comes around each year almost like the budding of a flower, where you see it on one of the trees in your front yard, and it's a sign to you that spring's on the way. Some of the promises are already being fulfilled, but not all of them. Not yet. Not yet. It's still something that we're looking forward to, and so I think that's why Easter is such a great day of hope. It's a day that where we remind ourselves, hey, it's already happened. It's already been won. Um, so
Mm-hmm.
that's going to carry me through. That hope is going to carry me through this. It's going to, it's going to give me the patience. It's going to give me the, you know, that feeling that it's this more than just wishful thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't just wake
Yep.
up one morning and decide and say, I think I'm going to see my family again. you know and it's like that's someone could say back to me, that's great you think that. you know but that's on the same level as, like, I think the Astros are going to win the World Series again. And it's
Mhm.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
great. Like, being optimistic is such a good quality, but when there's so much on the line, optimism just won't do. It's got to be something more. It has to be something stronger.
And this makes me think so much. I just recently read a book by Henrik Sankiewicz, and he's incredible. And it's the Quo Vadis, like, where are you going, Peter?
Mm, mm,
And I'm fascinated with the Christians in the first century. Just
same.
everything. Oh my goodness, like everything they had to go through. And as you're speaking, it's the theme of the resurrection, right? Of that hope, that that's what kept them going. That's what the Romans so much wanted to suppress. They're like, no, don't talk about the resurrection. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear someone's greater than Caesar. I don't want to
hmm
hear that there's hope in your horrible circumstances right now.
Yeah, yeah,
And I just love that. They're like such inspiration that it was miserable what they were going through,
yeah.
and Nero and everything happening, and yet there was that hope that kept them like, hey, Jesus overcame all this darkness, all this awfulness, all these things. It's a matter of time.
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
know that,
and
he lives.
yeah, amen. Hallelujah. Have you ever come across the story of Sanctus? He's
No.
from early Roman times, and
Okay.
now I'm blanking which emperor he was living under. But Sanctus is a Christian martyr from those first centuries, and he was brought before a crowd to be tortured to the point of giving up the story, like deny
Hmm.
the story,
Hmm.
deny Jesus is king. and he wouldn't. And so he was tortured publicly
Mm.
and threatened to give up this, give it up, and he wouldn't, and all he would reply is, I am a Christian.
Mm.
And they're like, give allegiance. I am a Christian. I am not leaving this identity. I'm not leaving this stake in the ground. I am a Christian. I will stay a Christian. And until his death, those are his last words. And what was interesting is it didn't suppress the movement. It didn't douse
No,
the flame of faith. It actually was a reversal.
opposite. Yeah.
Yeah, because they saw Sanctus, and there were some who used to be believers who said to themselves, I used to believe like that. I want to again. And there were others who never were and said to themselves, who is this Jesus that this person is giving his life for? And it just um, it gave it like fanned the flame of faith within people to say, hold on, there must be something more to this story, and I want to know. I want to know what it is.
And it happened to so many of them. That was like, they're just like, I am Jesus in my heart. You can't do anything to me. You have no power over me.
Yeah, which was crazy because I've maybe we've talked about this before, but something I think about every year at Easter time is if someone were to say, why do you believe that story? you know where'd you hear it from? How do you know that's true? My kids come home and they tell stories all the time, and I'm like, that's wild. Where did you hear that? Was that you saw that somewhere? Your friend in middle school told you that? Like what? Like like the kids they make wild claims all the time. Dad,
Yes.
did you hear that cereal is actually laced with fentanyl or what? I don't, what if some wild story or whatever? And I'm like, that's made up. You're making stuff up. That's this conspiracy theory, or
Um,
level kind of stuff. So I could see, and I hope if someone heard the story of Easter for their first time, that they would say, what? Like that is the natural and should be the natural response, right? To the story. It's fascinating. It's out of this world kind of thing. And so if someone were to say, if I met someone who'd never heard the story of Jesus or the story of Easter before, and I told them the story, I would expect that their response would be, how do you know that? Where'd you hear that? And I would say, oh, my mom. My mom told me, you know, how'd she know? Say her mom. How'd she know? Her dad. How do you know? You know? But eventually that trail leads back to these stories. That's
yes.
where that's where it leads, right? This is the
Hmm.
this is the end of the row. Okay. We
Hmm.
get here to these stories. And then now your next question is why do you believe Mary and Peter and John and Martha and Lazarus and Thomas? How come you believe them? Because the whole Easter story actually hinges on eyewitnesses.
Yes.
That's what this book is. This book is a book. It's a court document, in its very least, of eyewitnesses, evidence. I saw it. I was there. I touched the print. I watched him breathe his last breath on the cross, and then I saw him, and he embraced me, and his spirit fell into my heart like a wildfire. Like I was there. And so the whole story actually hinges on the credibility of these witnesses, right? Of someone who was there. So you have to look at their stories. And you look at someone like Sanctus or someone like Peter crucified upside down, or you look at someone like James beheaded by the sword, and you have to, could they be lying?
Well, James didn't
Could
even believe before that. James was not a believer of
I
Jesus on the
know, I
earth. So
know.
yes, he is saying the truth because he joins after the resurrection. So amen
Right,
on that.
right,
Yeah.
right, right. And you're like, could they be lying?
No.
Possible. It's possible. There is a possibility, but that would be the dumbest lie in the history of the world. Why would you, when you lie, you're supposed to make your life better through your lies, you know? Like you're supposed to cheat and steal and lie to better your position. And their lives were, they gave up everything. Like that's like you don't hold on to a lie at the expense of your job and your family and your home
Your
and your
life.
credit and your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just you don't do that. And so yeah, could they, I mean, really everybody has to come to that juncture and say that you either believe them or you don't. At the end of the day, this is a celebration of belief. It's a holiday of belief. It's a question to the heart. Do you believe the story? And I look at their lives, and I think, I mean, they could be, but I, the evidence overwhelmingly points the other way, and that's of course not even factoring in this heavenly, otherworldly kind of hope I feel in my heart. You know, and I know my heart could lead me astray. My feelings could lead me astray, and so that's why I love the both of them together. I've got witnesses that are outside of my story, outside of my wishes, outside of my hopes, outside of my biases. There's a standard over here that is,
Hmm.
not me. I can hope and wish and think a lot of things. I've thought some wild thoughts in my life before. I've had some wild ideas, right? But here's one that's like, it's not inside the head of David Butler, it's outside of me. And then that's corroborated with what I do have inside me too. Because I won't ignore, because I do think I can feel and sense things. It's confusing in here in my head and heart, but I do believe that's a way of learning truth and recognizing light and goodness. And so I'm not going to ignore it, but that's not the only thing. I have this, over here.
Yes.
And
And
and can I just, oh, go, no, no, go
yes.
ahead.
No, no, no. Go ahead. Finish.
Oh,
Finish.
then I was going to say this, because as a Latter-day Saint, as a restored Christian, and I think one of the central tenets of restored Christianity is modern witnesses. That's what it is. So in addition to ancient witnesses, who I believe, I have additional witnesses, right? A 2,000-year-old witness is by nature maybe a little bit more difficult to believe than a 100-year-old witness, or a 10, you're right, 100
Hmm.
years ago kind of. But I
Hmm.
think that is the central message of the restoration is we have additional witnesses of the resurrected Jesus. That's what it is. The Book of Mormon, what does it prove? It proves the resurrection of Jesus. That it does not prove that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It might in an indirect way, right?
Yeah.
I'm less interested in that, and I'm more interested in the Book of Mormon and modern witnesses being proof of the resurrection of Jesus. It gives my heart more reason to hope.
Wow. That is so true. It's absolutely we need both. I love all the restored scripture, like you said, because it just proves it all right. It proves the Book of Mormon is true. It proves the New Testament,
Yeah,
all the New Testament and the validity. And I'd love to read from all of them kind of at the same time because it's the same language and it's just brings the truth and the light so beautifully.
yeah,
And even some of the women, I thought of the women, they were very unlikely witness, right? And John, too. I want to go in here a little bit if you wanted to talk a little bit about this art because he was a witness. John was a witness. And maybe we can just talk a little bit about this moment, because I think, I don't know, just the idea of running fascinates me so much. When someone's running in
Same.
the scriptures, I'm like,
Same.
there's gotta be more, right? You have woman at the well running, dropping her pot. You have David running to Goliath. I mean, just over and over. It's just so, and Mary running to tell them, and now that, John, and this is the part where he's outrunning him, because I think that's also a witness right there that it's true. Why would you ever even put him there that he outran him?
It's such a great story. It's so
That is
good.
such a legit, like, okay, I really, because I would say that if I was running. So,
Uh-huh.
this, I feel like that's such a proof, another one of those witnesses. But I always wonder what was going on in his mind as he's running. I don't know, like, what is, like, what's happening? Like, he's like, wait, like, anyway, this is just kind of the idea that there's urgency. Something has happened, and of course there it's beaming with excitement. And I love that it says that he believes, like he gets there first, waits for Peter to come in. But there's this little verse that actually does say,
Yeah.
and he,
Yeah.
he saw and believed, right? Like, yeah, John 20. And
Yeah. Right. That verse 8.
right.
I love that line. I love it so much. And he saw and believed.
And
Right.
he didn't know it fully, right? He didn't know it all. He didn't know the whole picture. The next verse tells us that. But I just love that. I love to hear what you thought. What do you think of this piece in general as well? Like,
Well, it's interesting because I flip flop every time I see that painting. I love that painting so much because I'm with you on the running. I think that like the shepherds in the Christmas story are some of my favorite characters because they run, right? They run when
yes,
they when they
yes.
when they once they see Jesus, it just does something to you. One year for Easter baskets, I got the kids that painting and then a new pair of shoes for Easter. And I said, I was like, this is a story, you
Oh, I
know,
love it.
worth running for. This is a
I
story,
love it.
because I think so. This is my flip flop that I do with that painting, Eva.
Okay. This is
Some
actually our book, David. I'm showing this. It's our
Oh,
book. Remember?
yay! Oh, it should have brought
We
yes,
did our book.
yes.
David did the foreword, which I love, love, love. Anyway, I think it's a bigger piece. I'm going to show that so people can
Oh,
see.
that's okay. So sometimes when I see that painting, I think about John running to the tomb, right? And I think about just that the hopeful anticipation that he has, where he's like, "I could it be true? Could it be true? Like, I want this to be true so bad. I hope that this is true so deeply and desperately, and I have to know." I have to see for myself. So much hangs on the line here, and I think that's part of a disciple's journey is just a hope that it's true, and I have to see for myself, you know. But then sometimes I see that painting and I think of John running away from the tomb with news to share because I feel like he would have run afterwards. And I like to think to myself, um, I wonder who he runs to. And I wonder who comes to his mind first that he says, they have to know this. They have to know the tomb is empty. They have to know. They have to know who does he go to first? Um, is it Mary, Jesus's mother? I think so. I put my money there.
Because he's
That
taking care of her. Yes. Oh, I
that
love
he
that. I
that he
love that so
says that
much.
he says
I love that.
that he says that mom needs to know,
Hmm.
that um that he's back. And I think about feels particularly tender to me because my sister is just one older than me, um lost her daughter. She passed away with complications of childbirth
Oh,
about a year ago. And I mean, That's who I want to run to and tell her, she's back. She's here on Resurrection Day. You know, I want to run with that news. I want to run to people who battled their whole life in addiction or battled their whole life in depression, and I want to run to them on the last day and say it's over. Like you don't have to face that anymore. Like the sadness is over, the sorrow is over. Like that part of that battle is done. And I like to think of him running with that hope and running specifically to people he loved, specifically to people he wanted to know that the Easter story, that hope is alive. So I love it. I think of both. And both are part of the Christian story, right? Where I hope and wish, and oh man, I want this to be true so much. And then then to run with the witness of it, to anticipate the day when we get to run to those we love with that news.
Mm.
Like,
I love what you're saying because it makes me think so much that yes, resurrection is for one day to see our loved ones, that we will have that, the most amazing reunion, right? Like we all have lost someone. If we haven't yet, we will. It's
right,
life, right?
right.
And it's so dear and so tender and so hope filled to the brim, right? Some days we can't even hold it because it's such an incredible thought to see them again. But
Yeah.
I was also thinking of the fact that you can also have this mini resurrection over death now, because everything he went through and all those problems and everything he experienced, kind of the Talitha Kumi moment. I don't know. I keep thinking, he can resurrect things in us that maybe we feel like they're dead. Maybe like he has that power to bring life into our situations now as well
Yeah.
as in the eternities. And that's what gets me going. That's what keeps me. It's the now, the resurrection, that you could feel the power of it just getting out of bed, right?
Yeah.
Just even the little things have that resurrection power in them, because he can mend broken relationships. He can restore faith. He has that power now as well to resurrect things that maybe we think have died in us. And it's just
uh
so amazing.
yeah. And I'm such a Paul actually has a line where he says, the same power that rose Jesus from the grave lives in us.
Hmm.
Right. And I
Yes.
and I love that. There's a resurrection story told every day on this earth. If we could get the records of all the people, every single day we would hear someone say, my belief was dead and buried in the ground. And it came forth again. My hope had passed away and it has new life. This relationship, our love, had burned to ashes, and and now there's beauty in its place. And yeah, that resurrection story has already. That's another part of the already. It's
Yes.
the already, right? Like we're not waiting. There are signs of life and resurrection in miraculous levels. The best is yet to come, for sure. The best
Yes.
is yet the full. I don't know if you this full fulfillment already have the word full in it, so maybe it just means that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
want to say the full fulfillment is yet
Right.
to
Right.
come, right?
Yeah.
But
Yes. Yes.
there is a miraculous fulfillment of that happening right here and right now.
I still remember the missionaries telling me, like, on the street, I'm trying to find God. I was a Christer. I went to church on Christmas and Easter. Those were my 2 days only. And then I just kept wanting more God in my life. And I remember when the missionaries, I met them after going to many other different churches, they were like, you matter to God. Like you, like I'm like me, I'm nobody. I'm 15-year-old girl growing up in communism. I mean, are you kidding? Like, how could that be even possible that this nobody person with nothing could be in God's like concern? Like, how could he even care about me, let alone talk to me through prayer? Like those resurrecting truths in my heart had like awoken this incredible light and love that blessed those missionaries for leaving home and country to speak that truth. And it's just amazing to me what they're doing worldwide, leaving home and country and going out and exactly like running to people to share exactly the truth that there is hope and there is light and God cares, yes, about you, exactly about you, that you feel like you don't matter. How could the greatest God creating the universe care about me? Like it's and that's what they it's just so incredible that they literally were running to tell me that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to all of us, like this, the message, the good news, right, is such an incredible work we're all part of. It blows
Yeah.
my mind.
And I want to say two things about that. One, that word "good news" that we use from Scripture, that's translated into gospel. Evangelion
Yeah.
is the word, and it's a particular kind of good news because there's lots of good news. Like your favorite store has a sale, or that's good. But that particular good news was used in ancient times to say that your king has defeated the enemy,
Mm,
that a victory has been won. It was a very particular kind of good news that a runner would take from the front lines of the battle back to the city to say the king has won. The king has won.
I love that.
And so that good news, the very word gospel includes in it a run. It's a running word. It's the thing you put in the hand of the runner and says,
Yes, yes.
go take this, go tell the world. Those were Jesus's to his disciples on the Mount of Olives, right? It was, go tell the world,
Mm,
everyone, go tell everyone about this. Everyone needs to know that God cares about them. Everyone needs to know that they were loved so much. That Jesus gave his life for them. Everybody should know that. Everybody should face their problems and their worries and their troubles and their taxes with the knowledge burning in them that God sees you, fully loves you, and the proof of that was his son on the cross. Like everyone should know that. So go tell. Those are the last words I said to my two boys before they
mm.
left on their missions. Go tell the world, son. Like, people need to know. And
That
Eva,
song. Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
I, I just want to say too that everybody who knows you either personally or here on your platform, or through your art, would say that you are an additional witness of the resurrection. To talk about who you were, 15-year-old in communism, and to see the light shine out of you, to see just the beautiful soul that you are, that good news lit up inside you. I mean, you are a living witness of what Jesus can do with someone. I'm sure you were a fantastic 15-year-old, by the way. Like, nobody on here is going to believe anything other than that, right? But you honestly are, like, one of the most delightful human beings in the world, so full of light and promise and hope. And the art that you create is the fruits of that. Anyone who sees your art says, I know this came from a deep well of light. I know it did. I can sense it when I see it. There's something unique about being human that we can um, sense those kind of things, particularly in art. So, I've never thought much about that, about witnesses of the resurrection. Usually, I think of Mary and Jesus, John and Thomas, and as witnesses of the resurrection. But you expanded my definition of that to include people I know, to include you being one of them, to say, look at what Jesus has done. Look at what that this is each of us, our stories become additional witnesses of the resurrection. They
Oh,
really do.
you're so sweet. It's God. It's all Him. We're all doing His work. I feel the same way about you and every single person on here that's listening right now or listen later. Like, our stories are for His glory. Remember that song, Our Story, His Glory? And
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
it's amazing if, like, just feeling Him. That's just feeling His light, and it is the most amazing thing to seek light, to share that light, and to surround yourself with light. So I love learning from you and Emily. I'm just so grateful we met all those years
Same,
ago.
same.
And it's just like, wow, I just love you. And it's like so amazing, the gathering in His name. And that's what we're continually doing. And I'm just so grateful, like, that we have that chance to do that, to gather in His name, to talk about Him, to glorify Him, and to strengthen each other, because we literally need each other. We're the mini Christ, right? The word
The body.
Christian,
Yeah,
like, it's
yeah.
mini Christ. And I feel the same way about you and everything you do. And I think and all of our stories, all of our gifts. I mean, I don't know. I just right now thought of the Mary when he's in the house and she's anointing his feet with that spikenard oil. This is so expensive, and she has preserved it. She has kept it. She has saved up for it, right? And she gives it all that day for him. And I'm thinking, am I doing that? Are we doing this? Like, are we preserving something? Are we spending our time in the way that God will, it's for him, right?
Hmm.
That we
Hmm.
can give to him, and and all he wants is to bless others. This is not a selfish pursuit, right? We doing his work is blessing others. And I love her all. She broke the whole thing, baby. This was not like, I'm going to give few drops of this ointment. And I love that, giving your whole heart all in, like,
Hmm.
literally
Hmm.
for the Lord. And just also thinking of our gifts and our abilities that are given to us from him to glorify him and to bless
Yeah,
others, that
yeah.
that if we can use that as his emissaries, right, as those running to tell the world, that idea is just so incredible. And you're doing it worldwide. You're doing it
Oh,
to other faiths. You're doing it to, this is like another level, which is, that's what we're told to do. It's to everyone everywhere, that everyone is welcome. And it's such a beautiful message to be able to be part of this grand work.
yeah. I love that the book of John 21 ends with this. In 24, the very last words John speaks are, "This is the disciple which testifieth of these things." He's like, and wrote these things. This is John saying, "This is my story. These are my experiences that I had. I didn't write this to be one of the four gospels. I'm a fisherman who has a story. Like one day I was throwing nets on one side, and now I'm throwing them on the other. My whole world turned upside down unexpectedly. And this is my story. That's what this book is in its sweetest, simplest essence, right? And then he says this, 25, and there are also many other things which Jesus did, which, if they should be written, every one of them, I suppose, even the world itself could not contain the books that should be written. And that feels like his um, making us aware, but also an invitation to say, "This is my story. What's yours? Tell what's your story of the day Jesus came into your life and changed everything." And I think there's something so sweet about that and so powerful. I am going to miss Elder Holland
Wow.
this coming general conference, because his particular kind of witness and style of witness
Mm.
spoke my
Your
language.
favorite. I
It
love
was
him.
my, you
Mhm.
know, it's like,
Yes.
I can understand when people speak in Korean, and I can be touched when people speak in Korean, but when someone speaks my language,
Mm.
it impacts me differently,
Mm.
and he spoke my language. And when I call him a witness of the resurrection, that's layered. I think there's a lot of layer to that, a special witness. But his last message that he gave 6 months ago was the message of every witness. Every witness of the
Mhm.
living Christ is, I don't know everything, but I'll tell you what I do know. I once was blind, and now I see. And that is, everyone does or will have that story. And those who've had it already are witnesses of that, the kind of resurrection you're talking about, the resurrection that happens before the grave, where, I love that about the end of John, where he's like, this is my story. Share yours. What's yours? And you know what? They don't ever get boring. The story of Jesus never gets boring. You know, I'm 45. I hope to make it to 100. It feels like that would be on brand, just to, for bragging rights or something. So, but I'm just not bored. I'm not bored of it. I'm not, I don't get bored of it. I am bored of every movie, every TV show, every song, that have loved and has been a
Mm.
favorite.
Mm.
It's, there's only so much I can take of those before they kind of like, yeah. But, not this story, not the story of Jesus, and not hearing the story of those that Jesus has rescued and saved. They, I don't know. Ask me in 50 years, but so far,
I love that. I think it's so beautiful. Don't you just love that we have testimony meeting? I just made me think of that because literally anyone can just get up and talk about Jesus. They can
yeah.
just pour out their heart and testify of him. And that's some of my most favorite meetings because it's like from the heart. Like you're just gonna say what you feel in your heart and you're gonna testify of him. And we actually we adopted this tradition to do it at home on Fast Sunday. So if we haven't borne our testimony at church, we want to do it at home around the table because how could you not? And sometimes I mean, I would say most of the times you feel him as you testify of him. And I think there's power in that because he will use us in our stories, in our homes, in our moments. Sometimes you just have a moment to text a kid or to say something when they're doing something else. You're like, remember this, right? That's your little like resurrection story. You're bringing back to life him and his light and his love and his hope. And I love that we can all do this. He didn't just make it to only to qualify the theology students that know the scriptures inside and out like as a scholar, right? Which is amazing if you do that. But he made it to ordinary people like me
Yeah.
that don't even know
Yeah.
how to spell words. You know, I'm
Well,
like,
and
what does that mean?
isn't that great? Even the Gospels are that. We have
Yes.
a tax collector turned disciple. We have a boy who was young when it was happening, Mark. We have a doctor with a degree. We have a fisherman, John. We have a businesswoman, Mary. Even The original stories, the original witnesses, the OG witnesses, like open up the
Yes.
door for everyone to feel like they can be a part of this and they can have a story too.
I love that. And I love that this is one fun fact that I love from the early Christians. They would draw the fish in the sand or in the ground with ichthos in it, the Greek
Yeah.
word that
Hmm.
meant Jesus Christ, Son of God. And that brought them together. It's like,
Hmm.
oh, you speak my language.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hmm.
and that's what we do. And I love it. I just love how there's so many different ways to bring Christ into a conversation, into your life, and to share that. Like it's abundant, right? It is such an abundant way to, even if it's something little tiny, it still matters to him. He will magnify that. He will just open in your mouth, just thinking to send a text, just like having the desire to do it, even that's rewarded. Like it blows my mind, like how much we can be part of this grand work and help resurrect others, and help, in a sense of bringing him to them, right?
Mm.
There's
Mm.
just so much beauty in that.
Hmm. Hmm. Amen. It just makes me think of that. John runs from the tomb to the tomb, and then I think from the tomb. And
I
this
love
isn't
that.
written in this. This is not written in the scriptures, But I can I want to believe that he brought someone back and kept bringing people back to the tomb. And I don't think he came back.
Mm,
But I don't think once someone's been to the tomb, I don't think they come back by themselves. The second, third, fourth, fifth time. I think they
mm,
bring someone with them. And I think we talked about when you asked what do you do, what that is one of the thrills of my life is getting a chance to take people you know who are able and can and so lucky enough to be able to the tomb.
mm,
And that's pretty unique. It's a pretty unique experience for me. But the privilege of discipleship really is that we get to take people to the well, let me take that back. We don't get to take people to the empty tomb. We get to take people to the feet of the living Christ is what we get to do,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
That's really what we get to do. I think of those four friends who carry their crippled fifth friend to Jesus and put him
mhm,
at his feet. And that's something else I tell my kids before they go on their missions. As I say, this is you. This is you. You'll meet a friend there in Mozambique and Dallas and Bolivia who needs help that you cannot give, but you know who can.
mm,
So carry them, pick them, take them to him. And if you have to go through the roof, go through the roof, to get them there. But that's your privilege and that's your call as a disciple is, take people to him. And
mm,
that's so thrilling. It's thrilling to I'm a helper. I'm a solver. I'm a fixer. That's in my DNA. And it's frustrating when I can't. So it thrills my soul that I know someone who can,
mm.
you know? And
I,
so
that
that's
is so,
also it's the promise of Easter, right? Where it's like, listen, I'm not taking them to the man from Nazareth, you know? I'm not taking them to the carpenter's son. I'm taking them to the resurrected Son of God,
mm,
who's full of glory, light, and truth, who knows them by name and is both willing and able to resurrect whatever is dead in them. That's who I'm taking people to.
wow. That's so beautiful. I know, right? The tomb. I like this idea that you said you're bringing people, and I keep thinking, of course, the stone wasn't rolled away so Jesus can come out. He can certainly come out. No,
Yeah.
he's resurrected. It's so that we the resurrection, right? He
Yeah.
actually is gone. He liveth. Like he lives. This is not the end. No, victory over death and all of our problems and all of our situations. In Bulgaria, actually on Easter Day, when you would see, usually I would see my family first, but you kiss them on each side. You go mwah, mwah, and the first words you say is he lives. And then they respond to you, truly, he lives. And so I love that tradition. So, like, it's so cool. Like, and
It's
that
so great.
my kids, would be FaceTiming and we're trying to pretend we're kissing on each cheek. And then we're like, he lives. Truly, he lives is what the person would respond. And anyone that you would see that's religious on the street would speak that right back to you. So it's kind of
No
cool,
way. Listen, I have to
It's
I
like
have to
nothing
move.
else. You talk
I have
about.
to move to Bulgaria. That's-
Well, we should just do it in our neighborhoods. I don't know, but I just love it. I think it's just such a. That's what matters. Like Sunday morning, we have a tradition to wake up and run. We literally run to watch the sunrise. And so the sister missionaries are coming this like in 2 days, like Sunday, whenever that is. Anyway, it's like a few more days, and they're coming with us. But it's this: we run to see the sunrise because
Mm,
it's hope, and it's just an amazing little tradition that we do to see the sun coming out and just thinking of Jesus. We'd sing a little song. It's just a simple little thing you do, but it's always been like, oh, let's go, 5:30, 5:30 a.m., let's go. And don't you love it says very early in the morning? I mean,
yeah.
for
Hmm.
Mary, it was even dark yet. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but oh, what a message of hope. I just thank you so much for your words. Like, thank you for your
Oh, thank you.
goodness.
Any time spent with you is a win for me.
What a joy to have Easter and to
Yeah.
celebrate. So, like, maybe one last thing. What would you leave anyone with this one last thought as maybe a little challenge? Like, okay, I don't know, anything that comes to your mind that maybe would be the cream on the top right now. That stuff that
Yeah.
comes to your mind.
Well, I just was thinking when you were saying Mary comes when it's, when it's still dark. And everybody has a little bit of that in their life, right? Everybody comes with skin in the game. There is a promise that they hope is true. There's something that they're pleading for and praying for and wishing for. And we can bring that to Easter morning with us because Jesus can handle it. We can bring our sorrows, we can bring our disappointments, we can bring our prayers and our pleas. Mary did with her tears. And Jesus asks, "Why are you crying?" He's like, "I understand. I see that there's something that's heavy on you." We can bring those with us into Easter morning, and then we can walk away with promise and with hope and with light. And whatever it is, our soul needs a day that is not normal, that sets this day apart,
Mhm.
that that makes it different, that pulls us out of the regular and the normal that we're in. And so, if there were a challenge, I would say set the day apart. Even a simple tradition can do that, but in some way, somehow, remind your soul, give heaven an opportunity to witness to you, to
Mhm.
speak to you, and to remind you. And we just recorded, Grace and I, on Don't Miss This, the book of Samuel, and that little boy has a prayer where he says, "Speak. Here am I. Here I
And
am.
Amy, yes,
Yeah, speak. Your
I
your
know.
servant heareth." And I think of all the fantastic traditions that we can have on Easter, I hope one of them for all of us is Mary at the tomb. Take your tears and let him speak hope. Let him call your name. Give him opportunity to call your name this Easter morning.
Oh, so beautiful. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you so much. Like,
Thank
oh,
you. I just love you, Eva, so much.
love you too. Give Jenny a big hug and Jane and the
Yes, I
whole
will.
family. You guys are just the coolest. So
Oh,
we had so many great comments. I just kept reading them as we're talking, and oh my gosh, like amazing. Thanks for everyone testifying and sharing your light and being here, gathered in the name of Jesus. So what joy, truly, what joy he is. And he
yeah.
lives. Happy Easter and happy conference.
Truly, he lives.
Truly, yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Love
Thanks,
you.
Ian.
Love you all.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Ciao, ciao.